Mark August 12th on your calendar. On that single turn of the Earth, 4 separate things will happen in the sky, and 3 of them are visible from almost anywhere on the planet. Astronomers are already calling it the single biggest skygazing day of the century. It does not matter if you're watching from the United States, Canada, India, or Europe. You do not need a telescope. You do not need to travel. You need a dark patch of ground and a few hours after midnight. Here is what makes it strange. During the day on August 12th, the moon slides in front of the sun and drops a shadow across Greenland, Iceland, and northern Spain. That is a total solar eclipse, and it is the first one to touch mainland Europe since 1999. But that eclipse is only possible because the moon is exactly new, and a new moon means something else entirely for the rest of us. It means that on the night of August 12th, going into the 13th, there is no moon in the sky at all, which is the same night the Perseid meteor shower hits its peak, the same night the core of the Milky Way stands high in a completely dark sky, and the same night that just before dawn, 6 planets are strung across the sky at once. This is the day the whole planet gets something, and almost nobody is planning for it yet. In this video, we will tell you what exactly will happen in those 24 hours and how to make the most of it. To understand why this date matters, you need to understand one thing about the moon, and it is this thing that ties all of this together. The moon is the single biggest source of light pollution in the natural sky. A full moon can wash out 90% of what you would otherwise see. Even a half moon raises the background glow enough to erase faint meteors and flatten the Milky Way into a smudge. This is why serious skywatchers do not plan around events. They plan around the moon. New moon is the one phase where the moon sits between us and the sun, lost in the daytime sky, contributing nothing to the night. And in 2026, new moon arrives at 1737 Universal Time on August 12th. Now, look at what that timing collides with. The Perseids peak within a day of it. The galactic core is still riding high in the evening sky in mid-August. The pre-dawn planet lineup is at its tightest in that same window. Normally, you get one of these under a dark sky, and the others get ruined by moonlight. In 2026, they all land inside the same blackout. And because the moon is precisely, geometrically new, it also crosses the sun's disk that afternoon. The eclipse is not a separate coincidence. The eclipse and the dark sky are the same event, seen 12 hours apart. A new moon will not fall on August 12th again until 2045. Start with the meteors, because this is the part almost everyone can see. Every August, Earth plows through a river of debris left behind by Swift-Tuttle, a comet roughly 16 miles across that last came near the Sun in 1992. The grains it shed are mostly the size of sand. They hit our atmosphere and burn up around 60 miles overhead. That is what a Perseid is, not a falling star, a speck of comet dust being destroyed by friction with the air. The shower runs from mid-July to late August, but the rate spikes sharply around the peak. Under a genuinely dark sky with no moon, the theoretical rate is around 100 meteors per hour. But that number assumes perfect conditions and the radiant directly overhead. What you will actually see from a good rural site is more like 50 to 70 per hour, and from a suburban backyard, 15 to 25. Even the low end is a meteor every few minutes. Here's an important thing to know. The Perseids produce more fireballs than almost any other shower. A fireball is a meteor brighter than Jupiter, bright enough to cast a shadow on the ground, and it often leaves a glowing train of ionized gas hanging in the air for 10 to 30 seconds afterwards. In a normal year, moonlight steals those trains. This year, nothing does. So, how to see the meteor shower? Meteors come from the direction of Perseids, which climbs in the northeast late in the evening and keeps rising until dawn. Do not stare at Perseids. Look about halfway up the sky in any direction and let your peripheral vision work. Give your eyes 20 minutes to adapt and then keep your phone off. The best window is from your local midnight to first light, because after midnight, your side of the planet is turning into the debris stream head-on. The Perseid radiant sits far north, so this shower strongly favors the northern hemisphere. If you're watching from Australia, South Africa, or Argentina, you will see fewer meteors, and only from the hours before dawn, which brings us to the part where the southern hemisphere wins. While you're waiting for meteors, look south. The bright, mottled band running across the sky in August is not a cloud, and it is not a nebula. You are looking edge-on through the disk of our own galaxy, toward its center, 26,000 light-years away, in the direction of Sagittarius. Those dark lanes cutting through it are not gaps. They are clouds of interstellar dust, blocking the light of stars behind them. Most people alive today have never seen this. Roughly a third of humanity lives under skies too bright to show it at all. It takes two things to appear: distance from city lights and no moon. August 12th gives you the second one for free. Timing matters here. The galactic core is already well up as twilight ends in August, sits due south around mid-evening for northern mid-latitudes, and starts sinking after that. Get out early rather than late for this part, then stay for the meteors. And if you're in the southern hemisphere, the core passes far higher, close to overhead, which is why the best Milky Way photographs on Earth come from Chile, Namibia, and New Zealand. There is a deadline attached. This is the last new moon of the year that catches the galactic core high in a properly dark sky right after twilight from northern latitudes. By the September window, it is already low in the southwest and setting early. By October, it is effectively gone until spring. Now stay out until the sky starts to lighten, because the last act is the strangest. In the 90 minutes before sunrise on August 12th, 6 planets are spread across the sky at once: Neptune, Saturn, Uranus, Mars, Mercury, and Jupiter, running from the southwest down to the eastern horizon. Set expectations correctly. 4 of them are naked eye objects and 2 are not. Saturn is the easy one, high in the south and unmistakably steady and yellow. Mars sits lower in the east among the stars of Taurus, moving toward Gemini as the month goes on, and it is faint right now because Mars does not reach opposition until February 19th, 2027. It brightens steadily from here. Uranus needs binoculars. Neptune needs a telescope. The hard part is the bottom of the line. Mercury and Jupiter sit lowest, closest to the sunrise, and the window where both are above the horizon and the sky is still dark enough is brutally short, under 30 minutes in most cities. You need a flat, open eastern horizon, and you need to be there before you think you do. Each of those 2 is doing something specific. Mercury reached its greatest separation from the sun in the morning sky at the start of August, and is now falling back toward the sun. It is on its way out. Jupiter is doing the opposite. It passed behind the sun in late July and is climbing back into view, starting a fresh apparition that will carry it through the rest of the year. Because one is falling and one is rising, they cross. On the morning of August 15th, Mercury and Jupiter pass close together, low in the east before sunrise. Both are bright, near magnitude -1, and the pairing is tight. It is a difficult catch in twilight, But if you have the horizon for it, it is the prettiest thing in the sky that morning. You will notice one planet missing. Venus is not in the parade, and that is not bad luck. Venus is on the other side of the sky, and it is having an excellent month. It reaches its greatest eastern elongation on August 15th. Its farthest apparent distance from the Sun in the evening sky at nearly 46 degrees, shining at a magnitude of -4.4. In the west after sunset, nothing else comes close. Then the moon returns and goes to visit it. On August 15th, the thin crescent sits just below Venus, with Earthshine glowing on its dark side. On the 16th, it slides directly between Venus and Spica, the brightest star in Virgo. On the 17th, it moves past Spica. These 3 evenings offer one continuous piece of motion you can watch with your eyes. Now hold on to what those 3 evenings just taught you. 1 look tells you where the moon is. 3 looks tells you where it's going. A single snapshot is not information. It is a position, and you cannot tell the 2 apart until you have more than 1. Most people only see a narrow slice of reality, shaped by the outlets we follow and the region we live in. And with science news, it's trickier still, because headlines get exaggerated or oversimplified to chase clicks. That's why I use Ground News, a platform that lets you compare how different outlets cover the same story, showing you political slant, headline framing, and even the stories you're missing entirely. For example, when the first images from the Vera C. Rubin Observatory were released, I wanted credible, unbiased coverage, and Ground News made it easy. That story was covered by 197 sources. I could instantly see the bias distribution was almost perfectly even. Then check each outlet's factuality rating, verified by 3 independent media monitoring organizations. Fittingly, Ground News was founded by a former NASA engineer, so there's a strong foundation for trustworthy science coverage too. My favorite feature is the blind spot, which flags stories disproportionately covered by just one side of the spectrum, so you always know what your feed is leaving out. And if you only follow science, tech, or space, their interest pages cut the noise and show you only what matters. For viewers of this channel, there's a special offer: 40% off the Vantage plan. Scan the QR code on the screen or head to ground.news/SOU. The link is in the description. It genuinely helps. It supports this channel. And now, back to August 12th. We covered the eclipse in detail in a separate video, which is also linked in the description. So here is the short version. On August 12th, the moon's shadow touches down in the Arctic, races past the North Pole, crosses Greenland and Iceland, then sweeps southeast to make landfall over southern Spain at sunset. For Reykjavik, the capital of Iceland, this is the first total solar eclipse since the year 1433. For Spain, it is the first in more than 100 years. To see any of that total phase, you have to be inside the narrow path where the moon completely covers the sun. That path begins at sunrise over Arctic Siberia, curves over the Arctic Ocean near the North Pole, and comes down across eastern Greenland. From there, the shadow crosses western Iceland. Reykjavik is in the path with about a minute of totality. The shadow then races across the Atlantic and makes its final landfall in northern and eastern Spain in the early evening. Bilbao, Zaragoza, Valencia, and the island off Mallorca all fall inside the path. Madrid and Barcelona sit right on the edge, missing totality by a hair, with about 99.9% of the sun covered. Even if you are nowhere near that path, a large part of the world still sees a partial eclipse, where the moon covers only a fraction of the sun, and the closer you are to the path, the bigger the bite. Across the United Kingdom and Ireland, this is a deep partial eclipse, low in the evening sky, around 90% or more. London, Manchester, and Glasgow all see roughly 91%. Cardiff, about 92%. Belfast, around 93%. and doubling close to 94%, all near 7 in the evening local time. Across the rest of Europe, Paris reaches about 92%, Lisbon about 94%, Brussels near 90%, and Berlin around 85%, most of it close to sunset. For North America, this is an afternoon event, and no part of the continent sees totality. In Canada, the Far East gets the most. St. John's in Newfoundland reaches about 53%, Halifax around 31%, and Montreal, Ottawa, and Toronto see roughly 8 to 18% in the early afternoon Eastern Time. In the United States, the deepest coverage is in far northern Maine, up to about 28%, with Boston near 16%, Burlington around 17%, New York City close to 9%, Philadelphia about 7%, and Washington around 4%, all peaking near 1:50 in the afternoon Eastern Time on the East Coast. Alaska catches its own version in the morning, with Anchorage reaching about 28%. Wherever you are, if any part of the sun is still showing, keep the eclipse glasses on the whole time. The August 12th eclipse cannot happen alone. Eclipses come in pairs or triplets because the alignment that lets a new moon cover the sun holds for about a month, not a day. So the next full moon, a fortnight later, walks straight into Earth's shadow. On the night of August 27th, 28th, a deep partial lunar eclipse will take place. At maximum, 93% of the moon's diameter sits in shadow. The moon passes just north of the shadow's center, so its southern half goes deepest, while a thin strip along the northern edge stays in direct sunlight the entire time. Geography decides everything here. The Americas get the best of it, with the moon high throughout. For North America, this plays out on the evening of Thursday, August 27th, with a maximum just after midnight Eastern. Western Europe and Western Africa catch it low, the moon setting mid-eclipse. Most of Asia, including India, and all of Australia miss it completely, because the moon is below the horizon the whole time. So here's the plan. Pick your spot now, not on the day, and pick one away from city lights. Get out at dusk on August 12th for the Milky Way. Stay through the small hours for the Perseids. Hold on until dawn for the planets. Then set an alarm for the mornings of the 15th, the evenings of the 15th to the 17th, and the night of the 27th going into the 28th. The sky is putting everything on the table at once, and the only thing it asks in return is that you go outside. So tell me in the comments where you're watching from and which one you're going after: totality, the partial, the Perseids, the planets, or the blood moon. And if you have already stood under a total eclipse before, tell us what it was actually like. Thanks for watching, and thanks to Ground News for sponsoring this video. If you're tired of clickbait headlines and just want the real story, especially in science, scan this QR code or head to the link ground.news/SOU given in the description. You'll get 40% off the Vantage plan and finally see the news like you see the universe clearly.